We've already went over the trailer, so this time, we're diving into some of the hidden details in the screenshots and info that Rockstar released on their website as well. So, without further ado, let's begin. We will start off with Jason's screenshots and work our way down the page that way. And to be honest, there wasn't much going on for Jason. Now, obviously, a lot of people have already touched on the fishing that we saw in one of his screenshots, but in some of the other screenshots, we saw a few other activities as well. We have pool, fishing, kayaking, mini putt, basketball, tennis, and scuba diving. There is also a possibility of metal detecting as an activity as well, as seen in this screenshot, but to be honest, I'm not too sure how that would work, so I'm not going to speculate on it. Lucia's screenshots didn't show us too much either, but there was one thing I noticed that seemed very important. Lucia is wearing her necklace in every single screenshot they posted of her, all of them except for one, where she is clearly terrified while running away from the cops. The only conclusion I have is that perhaps this is the instance where she is taken to prison. My main reason for thinking this is because she also isn't wearing her necklace when she is released from prison in trailer 2, despite them giving her belongings back. Rockstar made a point to clearly show her necklace being worn all the time, even when fighting, but the one time that she is clearly in a dire situation, she doesn't have it on. But also, one side note that I wanted to bring up from something I mentioned in my last video was that on Lucia's motorcycle, there is a Gloriana license plate, which I said was Georgia. And this only makes sense because of Mount Calaga. Now, for those who aren't aware, Georgia is the closest state to Florida that has a mountain range, as Florida doesn't really have any of their own. So, Georgia being added as a small-scale state is the most likely scenario if they wanted to add a mountain range. Now we're moving on to the Vice City shots, and there were a few notable things that caught my attention here. First and foremost is this picture, because there is a lot going on. For one, we already mentioned basketball and tennis, which you can see off to the left. Two is this scene down at the bottom with this NPC getting arrested. There is another screenshot that depicts an arrest up close, as well as one we passed by in the trailer, so undoubtedly this means that NPCs will most likely cause crime just as much as we do in this game. But a very interesting part of this screenshot is right here. After trailer 2, Rockstar released a statement saying that the trailer was captured completely with in-game footage, and I think we can see that best in action here. Notice how the ray tracing on the water gets slowly less reflective the further away it is from the player. If this wasn't in-game footage, Rockstar could have easily rendered this in a way to make the entire amount of water reflective. But as a way to accurately reflect the game, they decided to leave it exactly how you will probably see it once we're playing the game. Also, in this shot, we see that Vice City Beach Police are promoting their social media. I said in my deep dive video on the iFruit app that I think social media will play a massive role in this game given how widespread it is in 2025. Judging from the fact that even the police are advertising this on their cars, I'm assuming that's a pretty accurate prediction. And very quickly, I also want to bring up Pearl. Now, Pearl is a location in Vice City that seems somewhat of a main location, since for one, Pearl can be seen written on the pillars underneath this bridge, and Pearl is also tattooed on this dude from another screenshot. This may have something to do with the Haitian gangs that we saw from the leaks, but I'm entirely speculating on that. Honestly, there wasn't too much extra I could find in Booby's screenshots either, but there was one thing I thought was pretty cool, and that's the switch on his Glock. Back in GTA 5, we had things like the AP pistol, which were full auto, but now it seems like, at least with this gun, we could be able to switch between full auto and semi-automatic. And if we can do that for one gun, it would make sense that we could probably do it on a lot of the ARs as well. Now we get to where Jason calls home, the keys. First, I just really want to appreciate how insanely massive this map is going to be. I mean, as far as the eye can see, you can find hydro towers that are barely in render distance. But now, the key things that I want to bring up here are, first, notice how many different boats are in this picture. It looks like these two yachts are the exact same, but beyond that, there are 10 different types of boats in this one picture, alluding to just how many different vehicles are going to be in this game. Also, one small note, and this is purely speculative right now, but one of these boats has a decal for Whirlpool Insurance, which could be hinting at the name for the new Mars Mutual from GTA 5. Now, we also have this lady carrying some food from a fast food place called Marbles. In the leaks, we learned that food and drinks were separate items from health and trauma kits, so it could be that unlike GTA 5, they have separate uses. Sort of like how GTA RP has both a food and drink meter as well as a standard health bar. Now moving on to Dre, once again, not much stood out in his screenshots. We know he works with Booby a lot and he has his own record label where he signed the Real Dimes, and he loves the Vice City Manatees, but beyond that, not much else stands out in his screenshots. The Wetlands, however, have a fair amount to dive into. For instance, with this shot, there is a whole bunch to unpack, starting with the obvious, of course, these otter-looking things. But in all realness, what I find most intriguing about this picture is the fact that this truck is actually getting away from the cops in a swampy marsh. In GTA 5, it didn't matter what car you were in really. If you started driving in water, your car was basically useless. However, now it seems that off-road cars will actually do what they are meant to, which is drive off-road. In some of the other shots, we got another look at some new weaponry in GTA 6, which is the double-barrel shotgun, as well as a wide selection of rifles in the game, most likely because of how prevalent hunting seems to be. We can also see a water tower that says Watson Bay, giving name to the wetlands. Oh, and also, her tattoo says masturbator. I mean, how could I not bring that up? Once again, just like Dre, we don't really know a whole bunch about the Real Dimes, and their shots didn't give us much either. So instead, let's take a better look at Port Gellhorn, a named location that we've known about since the 2022 leaks. Port Gellhorn to me looks a lot like what Sandy Shores might look like in GTA 6. You got impromptu hangouts, lots of drug dealing and producing, rundown places with little infrastructure. It's just kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this area. In one of the shots in particular, we can actually see a person getting kicked out of the strip club, probably on some funny business, but what caught my eye even more is the Imponte Phoenix making a return from GTA 5. And actually, speaking of vehicles, we can see a regular truck with a huge lift kit that implies even more insane vehicle customization like we saw in trailer 1 and 2. Moving on from there is where we get introduced to Raul. And although we don't think we saw any of him in the trailer, we do know that he was there for some parts. For example, in the short gif of his, we can clearly see that Raul is wearing the same mask that Lucia and Jason were wearing during the SNB bank heist, meaning he was definitely there despite us not seeing what his role was during it. A few small details I noticed as well was the red dot sight on his pistol, and as well as this. On his pistol, it says CAPD. Now this could either mean two things. One is that CAPD is the abbreviation of capped, and that's the brand name of the gun in the game, or CAPD as in something something police department. Now I think it's fair to say that based off everything we know about him, he isn't with the police in any way, but there was a theory from trailer 2 that says that the main cop we see was Raul. But that is probably something we won't figure out till later. Also, a lot of people have already brought this up already, so I won't touch on it too long, but the dash on the car looks to have a ton of different uses. Music, navigation, calling, and some other apps we can't quite make out. We do know from the leaks that Rockstar has made a system where you can play without a minimap, and I do think that these cars will play some sort of factor to that. Now let's look at Ambrosia. Once again, this picture puts into perspective the map size, just from the other side than we looked at before. Because if you zoom in far enough, you can actually see just how far away the city is from here. Now, on this biker, we can see that he's wearing a hat that says Liberty City Cycles. And now this is intriguing because it's not even close to the only time that Liberty City has been mentioned. We obviously learned that Lucia was originally from Liberty City, as well as a Liberty City license plate that has also been found. So this now makes a few times that Liberty City has been mentioned in the lead up to the game. However, even with that, I am not gonna speculate on if there's bigger meaning behind this, because I doubt it will ever be possible to go there. But I'm also not completely ruling it out either. But now, one of the coolest things that I found that I have not seen a lot of people bring up yet, if you look at the bottom of this picture, you can clearly see a third pedal, which makes this very clearly a manual car. Whether or not Rockstar actually adds a mechanic that would make some cars manuals, we don't know, but GTA RP did have a similar system in some of their servers, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. It would also be a very easy way for Rockstar to make the driving harder for people who complained about GTA 5's being too easy. Here we can also see a better view of what those dash controls on the car look like as well. This dash looks almost exactly like the one that we saw in Raul's car, and that will probably be standard throughout all vehicles, but that would also mean that it's more likely to have an actual function in every car. Okay, so Brian we already know a ton about from the trailer, so I won't spend too much time on him, except for this shot. In my trailer 2 video, I talked about how Jason and Brian must have a bigger connection than just business partners, given that Jason says,
"See you, Brian. Love you, Jason."
And that is reinforced with this picture. Not only is he close with Brian, but Jason also seems to be close with his third wife, Lorie, as well. What their relationship is to each other probably won't get revealed until the game actually comes out though. And finally, we end off with one of the most beautiful looking places on the entire map, Mount Calaga. I said earlier that I believe Mount Calaga to be the mountain ranges of Georgia, and these photos seem to back that. We obviously have kayaking, which I mentioned earlier. We can see a squirrel, which is new to the GTA world, and overall, Mount Calaga seems like it'll be the most terrifying place in the game for Dark Viper AU.
There aren't cougars in missions!
Now, thank you guys so much for watching. I want to give a quick message at the end and thank everyone for 50,000 subscribers. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that I can keep doing this for years and years. Thank you guys so much for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.